Today on Play to Win, it's Separation Saturday. We'll preview and predict who's going to be in the Final Four in college football's first year of the playoffs. Matt Chernoff from 680 on the state of Mark Richt. Plus, we'll have Jeffrey's picks, injury updates in the NFL, and fantasy football.
Play to Win is being brought to you by John Foy and Associates and Kia Mall of Georgia and Mall of Georgia Chrysler Dodge Jeep.
Welcome to Play to Win with former Falcons All-Pro defensive end Chuck Smith. Fantasy Football League previews with Adam Brown. Game analysis with Nikki Williams. Play to Win expert Jeffrey the Ed Schechter. Medical and injury update with Dr. Andrew Lalage. And your host, Atlanta sports veteran Bob Neal.
Our college football report is being brought to you by Mall of Georgia Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Kia Mall of Georgia.
Welcome to our college football report, and welcome back to Jeffrey and Nikki, who weren't on the set with us last week.
Glad to still be employed.
How much did we miss them, Chuck? We missed them a whole bunch.
Yeah, but same things happen. We picked winners again, Bob.
All right, we did. We were doing the picking of the winners.
She's much prettier than Chris Domino.
Exactly. Chris Domino, by the way, thanks for filling in.
Good job.
But
Keep
no
some hair
question
extensions.
about that part right there. All right, let's get started with our college football. You know this time of year, it's the college football poll, that group of 12 who are naming the top 25 teams in the country. The ones we're interested in, of course, are mostly the top 10 because except for Mississippi State and Florida State, who are undefeated, all of these teams have one loss. The top 4, Mississippi State, Florida State, Auburn, Oregon, and you see Alabama through Notre Dame, numbers 5 through 10. So I want to ask you, starting with you, Chuck, who do you think might get in that top 4 who's not there right now?
Well, I think Alabama right off the bat. I mean, to me, they're the most complete team.
You think so?
I really do.
Who do you think could be in there?
I'm going to go with TCU. If they jump through this next hurdle, the rest of their schedule is pretty cush.
Yeah, big game with Kansas State this week. Jeffrey, what do you think?
Michigan State.
Michigan State.
I think they're excellent.
All right, they're playing Ohio State this weekend at East Lansing, where, by the way, the temperature is supposed to be 30 degrees with snow. But it's Ohio State, Michigan State. It won't mean anything unusual for them. All right, how about teams that are kind of on the bubble, maybe even sinking fast? Let's talk about them. There's Ole Miss, Ohio State, Utah, Arizona, Georgia. Any of those teams lose another game, they're out. Some of them may be out anyway, but those are the teams who are falling fast. And now it is time for our showdown of the week. The SEC games are Tennessee Martin at Mississippi State, A&M at Auburn, Alabama at FSU, and Florida, by the way, in an interesting game, is going to be in Nashville. And now, the key national games are Kansas State at TCU. We talked about that one. And let's go down through this group here, guys, and tell me about this. Chuck, which game do you think is a big one there?
Well, I think a big one right there, right off the bat, is at Ohio State at Michigan State. When you think about Michigan State, I think of balance on offense. I think of Connor Cook. I think Mark D'Antonio has done an excellent job. And when I think of that defense, which is number 5 in the country, I think it's going to be trouble for J.T. Barrett at Ohio State. He's going to have a rough day in East Lansing.
Could be an interesting game with Notre Dame and Arizona State, too.
It could be. This is possibly a playoff elimination game. Both of these teams are 7-1. Now, Notre Dame has been giving up 30 or more points in the last 3 straight games. Now, they haven't done that in a handful of times in, 126 seasons. And here they are facing Arizona State. This is going to be the toughest offense they've faced all season, or will face all season.
Oregon's got a big game, too, with Utah, even though Utah's got 2 losses.
Utah should be undefeated. They lost 2 games they should have won. They match up very well against Oregon. And this Oregon's offense has really come alive, but the defense is still questionable. This could be a tough one.
All right, the biggest game, probably at least in this part of the country, is our college football showdown of the week. And that ball game, that's presented by the Georgia Lottery, and that ball game is Alabama at LSU. And Chuck, let's get started on that one. Alabama's ranked 5th, LSU 16th.
Well, I think it starts number 1 with Alabama right now with Lane Kiffin. He's got great balance on that offense. And to me, Alabama, when they played against Arkansas, it showed that they can stop the run, 2-point yards a carry for Arkansas. Alabama's clicking, in my opinion, on all cylinders. I think they're the best team in the country.
All right, what do you think about it? Baton Rouge night game.
Baton Rouge night game, I don't know if Alabama's the best football team in the country. If anyone's poised up to be a spoiler, it's LSU. They're taking form right now at the most opportune moment. I don't know on this one.
Jeffrey, Baton Rouge night game, LSU. They played great their last couple of games, and they're getting better. Does Alabama win?
Yeah. We'll find out how good LSU is this week.
All right, that leads us right into Jeffrey's picks and what you think about what's going to happen in these games that we've talked about here at the top of the show. Let's start with Alabama and LSU.
I like Alabama. LSU played very well against Mississippi. I just don't think they're that good. I think Bama covers the 6.5 points. Kansas State and TCU, great game. Both teams are very close to being undefeated. I think TCU is going to cover the 6. They have a lot of speed. They're home. Go with TCU.
How about Michigan State, Ohio State?
Ohio State is very good at blowing out bad teams. They struggled with Penn State, lost to a terrible Virginia Tech team. Michigan State is a great team. They were beating Oregon for 3 quarters. Michigan State, give the 3.5.
Yeah, I agree. Michigan State at home last year. Of course, they had that great game. Michigan State won. It was in the playoff game, in the championship game, and now it's at East Lansing, where the weather's going to be cold. And that is it for our college football report. But we have our hometown team. Easy for me to say. Hometown team report coming along next. We'll talk about Georgia, Georgia Tech, and your Atlanta Falcons.
We're winding down our 20th anniversary celebration with The Big Finish at Mall of Georgia Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Find a great deal right now on a 2014 Jeep Cherokee, priced at only $17,999. Get a 2014 Ram Crew Cab and save $10,000 off MSRP. Sale priced at $24,920. Drive away on a 2015 Chrysler 200 today and pay just $17,999. The Big Finish at Mall of Georgia Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, or online at yourdodge.com.
Nissan Sentra with Nissan Connect.
Love is like a shower on me all the time. I need it tonight.
Man, this doesn't look like Vegas.
It's easy to lose yourself, but nearly impossible to get lost. Choose Sentra just $149 per month, or Ultima only $189 per month. Sentra, from the most fuel-efficient lineup in America.
Totally clicks to the heart.
Shop ChooseNissan.com. Innovation that excites.
Right after I got hurt in my car wreck, the other guy's insurance company offered to fix my car, but they only offered me $750 for my injuries. And then they wanted me to sign this.
Don't sign anything until you've talked to me. I'm attorney John Foy, the Strong Arm. You may be giving up tens of thousands of dollars by signing the insurance company's release form. Call me.
Their insurance company offered to fix my car and offer me this check for $1,000.
Don't take that check. Let me get you the money you deserve. Call on the Strong Arm.
Call attorney John Foy, the Strong Arm.
Hey, it's Mr. Monopoly and the new Monopoly Millionaires Club lottery game, where you have 3 ways to become a millionaire. First, win the top prize of up to $25 million when you match all the draw numbers. Or win $1 million when you match all the club numbers. Or you could win up to $1 million as a contestant on the exciting new TV game show in Las Vegas. Play the Monopoly Millionaires Club game today. There could be more $1 million prizes than any lottery game in U.S. history. The Georgia Lottery. Today could be the day.
Hometown Team Report is being brought to you by Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers, bringing a higher order of pizza to Atlanta for 40 years.
All right, welcome back. It's time for the Hometown Team Report, and we're going to start in our 68 seconds with 680 The Fan with Matt Chernoff. And Matt and I go back a long way. I've never thought of him as a cerebral guy, but for some reason or other, he is today.
Guys, you might be wondering why my head is down, because I'm in deep thought. Much like Greg McGarity, the AD in Athens, I imagine he's in some pretty deep thought now following Georgia's ugly, embarrassing defeat to the Gators in Jacksonville. Now the question once again must be asked about Mark Richt's future in Athens. Every time the Dogs lose, someone raises the question about Mark Richt's future. I will say this, I think it's one of the more difficult decisions we've ever encountered, and I think that Greg McGarity might have. You've got 14 years of data that says Mark Richt has done a really good job. He's 132 wins and 47 losses. On the other side, the Georgia fan and the Georgia Bulldog Nation says, it's good, but it's not enough. We want to win a championship. Is Coach Richt the guy that's going to push us over the hump and get us to win a title? I think Greg McGarity's decision becomes, Mark Richt is in that second tier of coaches, and he's a really good one. Can we get to that top tier? Can we find our Urban Meyer? Can we find our big-time coach that's going to push us over the top, whether it was Jimbo Fisher in Florida State or some of these other big-time coaches? You have to find a way to get that coach, or else you're making a Tennessee-type decision, and in Athens, you don't want to take a step backwards. Bob, back to you.
Oh, thank you. I always taught Matt to do that. I always say, good point, Bob, and now back to you, Bob. And he just did it right there. Thank you, Matt Chernoff, from 68 seconds.
Good job. But the Tennessee decision reference, we could have left that out of there.
Could have left that out of there.
We're doing okay now. We've moved on.
You hear that, Chernoff? All right. What did you have to think about the Richt situation, Jeffrey?
Mark Richt is as fine a human being as there is on the planet. Great recruiter, returned Georgia back to prominence, but he's a horrible game coach.
But
to lose to South Carolina this year, not a good team, a terrible Florida team. Georgia's got to do some thinking on this. He's a 9-3 coach, so the only good thing about it is if you're making your holiday plans, and you're Georgia, you're making holiday plans, figure you're going to go to either Disney or you're going to go to Busch Gardens, because it's either the Citrus Bowl or the Outback Bowl.
all right, and by the way, Mark Richt is our guest here. I'd like to bring him in here and introduce him to Jeffrey. I'm only kidding, guys. Georgia's playing Kentucky at Lexington. Georgia coming off that big loss. Even though Kentucky's 5-4, they've proven to be tough this year. How do you see that game?
Kentucky's really strong at home, but it really starts with Georgia. Can you stop the run? Jeremy Pruitt's defense, to me, we'll give a quick description of what I saw. I saw a flaw in some of the technique. You had 2 down linemen down in 3-point stances. You had the outside linebacker standing up, playing heavy on tackles and losing control of the blockers and striking and getting off blocks, and that's why Florida was able to bounce outside. They got to fix it. Everybody's going to duplicate exactly what Florida did, and that's what they'll see at Kentucky.
Oh, that's interesting. I was thinking of you when I was watching that game. What would Chuck say about this defensive line play? And now I know. All right, Georgia Tech is still alive in the Coastal Division, despite the fact that Duke's playing really well, and they go to North Carolina State this week, Nikki.
Yeah, and how did we go from Mark Richt being the safe one and Paul Johnson in the hot seat? Now we've switched it around. Paul Johnson seemingly pretty safe, but this game will be interesting because NC State's Jacoby Brissett, he doesn't make mistakes is the thing, and they've only got 11 turnovers this season. If NC State can hold on to that ball and sustain drives, they may be able to slow down Tech.
Okay, well, this is kind of a Bermuda Triangle for Georgia Tech. They've already lost 2 Duke and 2 North Carolina up there. So unless they beat North Carolina State, it'll be an offer for Georgia Tech in the state of North Carolina. Now it's time to talk about the Atlanta Falcons. They had a bye week after losing to Detroit in London, getting ready to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Jeffrey, how do you see the Falcons at the Buccaneers?
Tough game. Atlanta has to be demoralized after the last game, but you have to give them credit. They play hard. Tampa, they're improving their home, so I think this is going to go down to the end.
All right, and Chuck, how do you see that game? Falcons at Tampa Bay.
Well, I see the Falcons coming out and throwing the ball and being who they are. They're an offensive team. That's who they are. Tampa's terrible on defense. If the Atlanta Falcons are going to make a run in the second half like Coach Smith talked about, it's going to be with Matt Ryan's arm. It's going to be with Julio's hands, and it's going to be with Roddy White and that entire offense carrying this team to any kind of success in the second half.
And I don't know if it's going to help Tampa Bay or not, but Josh McCown's back at quarterback. He's been out quite a while with an injured thumb. Mike Glennon goes to the bench. McCown is back there. Now it's time for the picks in our hometown team report. Jeffrey, set them up for us. Who you picking?
There's 2 Bulldogs in the SEC. You got the Mississippi State Bulldogs, you got the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, Bulldog is a ferocious animal. Mississippi State's ferocious. Georgia, I think there's some poodle in that Bulldog.
Ooh.
So, and you don't know who's going to show up, the Poodles or the Bulldogs. So I'm going to pick that the Bulldogs show up this week, and I'm going to give the 10 with Georgia.
All right, how about Georgia Tech, North Carolina State?
Love the way Tech's playing. Their defense is better. That ball's going up and down the field. I love Tech. Give the 4.
Atlanta, despite the poor play so far this season, 2-point favorites over Tampa Bay.
I like Tampa at home. That's about as much as you can say about this game. I mean, Atlanta had a demoralizing loss. They find ways to lose games. I think Tampa's going to beat them. Take the 2 with Tampa.
All right, we're going to come back in just a moment with Dr. Andrew Lalagi and our player medical report. Stay with us on Play to Win.
Why can't I have a slice of yours?
You're a cartoon. You can only have cartoon pizza.
It's not fair.
Look, this pie is 100% real, and you're colored ink. It's physics, man.
Well, can you buy me a beer?
I can buy you a cartoon beer. Are you single?
It's right. Everyone wants real mellow mushroom pizza because our pies use premium meats and cheeses, fresh veggies, and spring water dough baked with wheat goodness. Mellow mushroom, a higher order of pizza.
There's nothing like waking up on that first cold day of winter weather and turning on your heating system only to find out it doesn't work. I'm Tommy Estes. Call Estes Services ahead of time and avoid the discomfort. With our pre-season maintenance and safety inspection, your system can be running at peak efficiency. Call us today or visit estesair.com and find out everything this inspection offers. Save energy and money with dual fuel. Call your man for all seasons at Estes.
We'll fix it at the speed of light.
Today's Player Medical Report is being brought to you by Piedmont Healthcare, now a certified member of the MD Anderson Cancer Network.
All right, joined now on the set by Dr. Andrew Lalage, who is the Chief Medical Officer of the Radiology Group and also the creator of InsideInjuries.com. Yep. And last week, some people emailed us and called you Dr. McDreamy. My wife said she agreed.
Made me blush.
Last time it comes up on the show after my wife said that. All right, let's get started. First of all, midweek injury that caused a lot of people to take attention to Sammy Watkins. What's up with Sammy?
So he sustained a groin injury in practice on Wednesday. And what is a groin injury? We hear about this all the time. It is actually the flexor muscles around the hip that initiate the first aspect of running, which is absolutely crucial for a wide receiver to reach the speed that he needs to get open. And unfortunately, I think the groin injury is pretty significant, so he may not start actually this weekend.
Let's get started with your grades.
Absolutely,
and first of all, let's go with Wes Welker, who's been battling all kinds of injuries, and another one now.
Yeah, so Wes Welker actually had 2 previous concussions, and he had a back injury, and he did not return to the game, which I think we downgraded him to a C-, and we would not put him on the starting list.
Lamar Miller.
So Lamar Miller only had a mild AC sprain. His grade does not change this week. I would recommend starting him.
All right, Emmanuel Sanders.
So Emmanuel Sanders had bruised ribs, and they are not fractured, so it looks like his grade will stay. Even though it's a B-, I would still recommend starting him this week.
And finally, Michael Vick.
So Michael Vick has made an appearance, yes. And so when he was with the Eagles, he had a concussion and a rib injury. And now with the Jets, he passed another concussion protocol. So I think I would not start him this week.
Skating on thin ice in case he gets hurt again.
Absolutely.
Dr. Andrew Lalage, our player medical report. We'll be back with more right here on Play to Win.
Our 10th anniversary celebration continues with a construction reduction sale now at Kia Mall of Georgia. For a limited time, get 0% interest or choose the best prices in the Southeast on these great models. Get a 2015 Kia Optima for just $17,997 or a new 2015 Kia Sorento LX starting at only $19,997. All inventory drastically reduced, and lenders are standing by with a 100% loan approval goal. Kia Mall of Georgia, 2.5 miles west of the Mall of Georgia, or online at lovemykia.com.
Today's injury report is brought to you by John Foy and Associates. If you've been injured in an accident, be sure to call John Foy, the strong arm.
All right, my favorite game in the NFL this week is Miami at Detroit. 2 very good teams. Miami's really coming along, and Detroit, of course, getting some good news. You see that Calvin Johnson, the wide receiver, and running back Reggie Bush, both with ankle injuries, are probable. Both have practiced with the team, and both should see action in that game. The other injuries, Josh McCown's going to start for Tampa Bay. Rashad Jennings still hurt with his knee, doubtful, did not practice this week. Nick Foles, collarbone out. D'Amico Ryans, Achilles out. Those are 2 big injuries for the Eagles. And for the Atlanta Falcons, Anton Smith and Jonathan Babineau have practiced with the team and very well may play, not for sure yet, with the Falcons going to Tampa Bay. And that is the NFL Injury Report, brought to you by John Foy and Associates, the strong arm of the law. Time now for the Fantasy Report, presented by SD Services with Adam Brown. And Adam, before we get started, I want to tell everybody that your great fantasy information, and it is really good, is also on our website at playingtowin.tv. So you can catch it there and double check on what he's telling you to do here. The other thing I want to say before we start is there's bye week again. 6 teams are out in the not playing this week. They have the week off and a bye week. And of course, that usually means that a lot of the hot players won't be playing. And we'll get into that as we go through the drill here. And let's start first of all with who's hot and who's cold. Who's hot? We begin with quarterbacks. And the quarterbacks are
Ben
who?
Roethlisberger is one of the hottest quarterbacks in the NFL period right now. Ben Roethlisberger is averaging 6 touchdown passes a game the last 2 weeks, 12 touchdown passes the last 2 games. The Jets defense has given up at least 2 touchdown passes in every game so far this season.
How about running backs?
Marshawn Lynch coming off a 2 touchdown performance last week. Lynch is facing a Giants D that's giving up 23.1 points per game to opposing running backs.
Wide receivers.
Jeremy Maclin has been back-to-back 200 TD games. In those games, 18 catches, 345 yards, and 4 touchdowns.
All right, here's a name that surprised me a little bit and under who's cold, and you've got Ryan Tannehill listed.
Ryan Tannehill had a great week last week, but he's going to come back down to reality this week facing a Lions defense that's only given up 9 touchdown passes so far this season.
All right, with the bye week, a lot of the hot players are out. Let's talk about who sleepers could be this week.
Well, Mark Sanchez is a sleeper. I know what you're saying, Mr. Butt Fumble, but Mark Sanchez is going to be very, very good for this team with the weapons he has around him. 19.6 points per game they're averaging, giving up per game this season against Carolina.
All right, and one final thing, and that is Matt Ryan is not listed, but a lot of people say start him against Tampa Bay.
Well, Matt Ryan had a week off to rest, recuperate, got his healthy receivers back around him. I think Matt Ryan's going to be really, really good going in the second half of this season. So if you have to start somebody, look at Matt Ryan to start and look at Mark Sanchez to start.
All right, there you go. This is Fantasy Report from Adam Brown. Back with more on the NFL in just a moment.
Your life moves fast, so when you want it fixed, we know you want it fixed fast. I'm Brian Estes with Estes Services, and Estes will fix it at the speed of life. Go to EstesAir.com and see what we can do for you with our heating and air residential services. Your factory authorized carrier dealer is dependable, proven, and ready to help. Save energy and money with a dual fuel system from Estes Services.
We're Estes Services. We'll fix it at the speed of life.
Right after I got hurt in my car wreck, the other guy's insurance company offered to fix my car, but they only offered me $750 for my injuries, and then they wanted me to sign this.
Don't sign anything until you've talked to me. I'm Attorney John Foy, the Strong Arm. You may be giving up tens of thousands of dollars by signing the insurance company's release form. Call me.
That same day, the insurance company said they will fix my car and offered me this check for $600.
Don't take that check. Let me get you the money you deserve. Call in the Strong Arm.
The NFL Report is brought to you by the Greater Atlanta Nissan dealers. Innovation that excites.
Going to be a really big week in the National Football League. Some very interesting games as we take a look at our selection of games we think are going to be entered right down the line there. I go right to the bottom of the list for the favorite game for myself, and that's Miami at Detroit. The Dolphins have been playing better, and of course Detroit's, as any Atlanta Falcons knows, Detroit can be very good, particularly on defense, and Calvin Johnson and Reggie Bush may be back. How about your look at that game, Nikki?
My favorite game too, Bob, because the Detroit Lions have a flair for the dramatics. They come in at the end, they're great. Everything's been going Miami's way as well, but they may be without Lamar Miller. I don't know what I think Lalaji says he's probable, but if they're without him and the Lions are for sure with Reggie Bush and Calvin Johnson, this is going to be, both of these teams are playing great ball.
Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to see it. Another game that's really big, and I wouldn't have thought we'd be talking about this at the beginning of the season, Kansas City and Buffalo, Chuck.
Well, if you like defense, and as I love me some defense, you're talking about two teams that like to hit each other in the mouth. I'm going to tell you, Marcel Darius on Buffalo right now having an MVP type season, and Justin Houston from locally here around Georgia, University of Georgia, now Kansas City, they know how to get after it. What a great game, but I like Kansas City going into Buffalo on the road and making it happen. Alex Smith is doing a good job at quarterback for the Chiefs.
All right, let's find out what Jeffrey thinks on Jeffrey's picks, and here they are. Get ready to read them and play them. Jeffrey.
I think Miami is the team to beat. They're fast, they're physical. Detroit was lucky the last 2 weeks. Their luck runs out on them this week.
Kansas City, Buffalo.
I like Buffalo at home. Again, two teams getting better. I think Buffalo's is improving rapidly.
Is New Orleans going to win that game against San Francisco? It's down in New Orleans.
New Orleans was 1 of 4. Everybody left them for dead. They're 4-4 now. They'll win that division with their eyes closed. San Francisco has some problems. I don't think Kaepernick is as good as Harbaugh thinks he is. Give the 5 with New Orleans.
All right, if you haven't had enough of Jeffrey, we're going to have a whole lot more next because it's time for the lightning round right after this.
Nissan Sentra with Nissan Connect.
Man, this doesn't look like Vegas.
It's easy to lose yourself, but nearly impossible to get lost. Choose Sentra just $149 per month, or Altima only $189 per month. Sentra, from the most fuel-efficient lineup in America.
Totally clicks to the heart.
Shop ChooseNissan.com. Innovation that excites.
It's Play It Again Reloaded, only from the Georgia Lottery.
It's that time again.
Play It Again is backed by popular demand, and it's better than ever. Earn points to win flat screens, golf clubs, all kinds of amazing prizes. There's even a monthly chance to win $1 million. And now you can enter your Powerball and Mega Millions tickets along with $1 and $2 scratchers.
Should I bring the garbage can back inside?
Oh, God.
Yeah. Your second chance is here. It's Play It Again Reloaded, only from the Georgia Lottery.
The Wizard, can you make me real so I can eat real mellow mushroom pizza instead of cartoon pizza?
Stand back. Here we go. Alakazam! Wiggity stickity poof!
I'm still a cartoon.
Then that'd be a no.
Everyone wants real mellow mushroom pizza because our pies use premium meats and cheeses, fresh veggies, and spring water dough baked with wheat goodness.
Wiggity stickity poof.
Mellow mushroom, a higher order of pizza.
Time for the lightning round. How about Duke at Syracuse, Jeffrey?
I said it last week. I'm going to say it again. Duke gets no respect. Syracuse is in their class. Give the 3.5 with Duke.
How about this? Michigan's favored in a game?
November is Save the Coach's Job month. And Michigan's been winning lately. Northwestern is terrible. They want to unionize. They want to get paid. Well, let me send them a picket sign.
All right, Utah gets 8.5. Oregon, Utah.
As I said before, I think Utah is going to run the ball, keep Oregon's offense off the field, take the points with Utah.
West Virginia, Texas.
West Virginia's been playing excellent ball. Lost a heartbreaker last week, and now for their letdown. Go with Texas.
Tennessee at Baltimore.
Baltimore's been struggling, but they're very good at beating bad teams, beating them big, and Tennessee's a bad team.
All right, Giants at Seattle.
Seattle hasn't killed anybody since the first week of the season. I was driving from Florida on Monday. I listened to the Giant game. They sounded terrible. I watched the highlights. They look worse. Give the 9 with Seattle.
All right, and now it's time for our player medical report. Sleeper.
A- grade, Antonio Brown, Steelers. I agree with Adam.
Oh, he is. He is a great player, Antonio Brown. So on behalf of the entire crew, this is Bob Neal reminding you that if you want to see this again or check us out, go to playingtowin.tv. And remember, you should play to win. See you next week.
Today's show has been brought to you by Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers and the Greater Atlanta Nissan Dealers.